How do you ruin a hit show overnight? How do you make an iconic prop out of leftover liquor packaging? And how do you keep the fantasy alive when the actors behind it are falling apart? These aren't just casual curiosities. They are real stories from one of TV's strangest productions. We've got 15 bizarre and unforgettable truths to walk through, each one stranger than what aired on your screen. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 1, the belly button ban. Why did Jeannie's costume become one of the most talked about outfits of the 1960s? It wasn't the pink chiffon or the sequins that got people buzzing. It was her waistline. Back then, NBC executives thought a bare belly button was too racy for television. So even though Jeannie was a genie from a bottle, her costume had to be thoroughly adjusted. Designers stitched extra lining inside the fabric and reshaped the cut so the waist appeared modest, even when Eden moved around. Decades later, Barbara Eden still laughs at how much attention fans give this tiny detail. Ironically, that strict rule created one of the most iconic looks in TV history, showing how innocence on screen was never quite as effortless as it seemed. Number 2, the bottle wasn't custom made. Why did Genie live inside such a unique, exotic-looking bottle? You might imagine a team of designers sketching and building a custom Genie home from scratch. But the truth is far less glamorous. The famous bottle wasn't an original creation at all. It started as a holiday Jim Beam liquor decanter. The production team grabbed it because budgets were tight and deadlines were even tighter. Rather than pouring money into a handmade prop, they simply repainted and dressed up what they already had. What was supposed to be a makeshift fix quickly took on a life of its own. Number 3, Genie's bottle changed. Did you ever catch that Genie's bottle didn't always look the same? If you watched carefully from season to season, the details shifted. At first, the bottle looked plain and simple, but as the show continued, the producers gave it a makeover. They repainted it with brighter accents and bolder colors, turning it into something vivid enough to stand out on color television sets. Fans still argue whether Genie's bottle should have stayed true to its original look or evolved with the times. Some wanted consistency, while others loved the upgraded sparkle. Number 4, inspired by Bewitched. Ever wonder why I Dream of Jeannie feels so familiar to another hit of the 1960s? That's because it was. NBC hurried the show into production to compete head-to-head with ABC's Bewitched, which was already pulling in huge numbers. Both series followed a magical woman whose powers disrupted the tidy, male-centered life around her. Suburban homes, awkward cover-ups, and constant tension about keeping secrets made the formulas nearly identical. But to avoid being called a copy, Genie's creators leaned on fantasy instead of witchcraft. A genie from a bottle sounded just different enough to stand on its own, while still catching the wave of interest. Number 5, Larry Hagman hated milk. On screen, Major Nelson came across as polished and dependable, but Larry Hagman carried some surprising quirks that told a different story. One of the strangest was his deep dislike for milk. Crew members knew he wouldn't touch it, and whenever scripts called for him to drink a glass, he grew irritated. Instead of playing along, Hagman sometimes swapped that glass of milk for alcohol, which only fueled talk about his unpredictable behavior. What sounds like a small detail ended up showing something bigger: his resistance to rules and his struggles with control. Number 6, Barbara Eden was pregnant in season 1. Jeannie always sparkled on screen with her perfect genie costume, but Barbara Eden was keeping a real-world secret hidden away. During the very first season, she was pregnant while filming the opening episodes, and the cameras never revealed it. The production team had to get creative. Her costumes were altered, adding extra veils and layers of fabric that often made her appear almost like a walking tent. Every stitch was designed to disguise her growing belly, while still keeping Genie's magical image intact. Number 7. Opening credits weren't animated at first. Everyone remembers the cartoonish opening credits of I Dream of Jeannie. But here's something most viewers don't realize. They actually weren't there at the start. During the first season, the show opened with a plain, straightforward intro that felt more like a placeholder than a magical entrance. It wasn't until season 2 that producers decided to overhaul it. They added bright, playful animation and introduced the upbeat theme song that instantly became linked with Genie's image. The change wasn't just for fun, it was a deliberate rebrand to make the series pop as it moved into color television. Number 8, Genie was originally evil. Was Genie always the playful, love-struck Genie everyone remembers? Not in the earliest version of the show. In fact, when the first pilot script was written, Genie's character played out very differently. She wasn't meant to be gentle or romantic. She was designed to be a true trickster. In that draft, Genie used her powers to cause deliberate trouble, often leaving chaos behind for Major Nelson to untangle. The idea was to lean into darker, mischievous magic rather than sweetness. So the Genie's edges were softened, her destructive streak toned down. That charming innocence wasn't original, it was carefully engineered. Number 9, Genie's evil twin was the same actress. Halfway through the series, audiences were suddenly introduced to Genie's evil twin, a character designed to stir up chaos and create instant drama. But here's the twist. There was no new actress hired. Barbara Eden herself took on both roles, switching between the sweet, wide-eyed Genie and her cunning, mischievous double. This meant long filming days filled with split-screen shots where Eden had to carefully hit her marks, so one Genie could convincingly interact with the other. It worked because she embodied both extremes, proving innocence and mischief could live in the same face. Number 10, Larry Hagman had on-set breakdowns. Major Nelson always appeared collected and steady on television, but behind the scenes, Larry Hagman was anything but. His behavior on set often shocked the cast and crew. Drinking became a regular problem, with Hagman sometimes arriving clearly under the influence. There were even bizarre moments when he urinated openly on set, a shocking act that left everyone uneasy. Viewers saw a wholesome image, yet the real atmosphere was unstable, a reminder that the sitcom's charm covered a much darker reality. Number 11, the chemistry rule. Fans always noticed how Genie and Major Nelson's relationship felt like it was frozen between playful and distant. That wasn't an accident. NBC had strict chemistry rules that controlled exactly how their bond would look on screen. Intimacy was off limits, and censors made sure of it. Genie was never allowed to be filmed in Nelson's bedroom, and even the smallest gestures had to stay chaste. Her wardrobe included extra lining to limit what viewers could see, and whenever she vanished or reappeared, the effect was always hidden behind harmless pink smoke. Number 12. The wedding episode ruined ratings. Fans had spent years waiting for Tony and Genie to tie the knot. The idea of the astronaut finally marrying his magical companion sounded like the perfect reward. But instead of delivering a fairy tale ending, the marriage unraveled the very thing that made the show work. Barbara Eden later admitted it ruined the show because Genie wasn't human, and Tony knew it. That unusual dynamic had always fueled the tension. Was she a partner, or was she an otherworldly figure? Once vows were exchanged, all of that disappeared. Number 13, shot in color from the start. Did you think I Dream of Genie came bursting onto the screen in dazzling color? It feels natural to assume so, because that's how most of us remember it. But during its first season, every episode was actually filmed in black and white. The shift came in season 2, when NBC decided that the show needed a new look to keep up with competition and the rise of color televisions across American homes. Suddenly, Genie's world was filled with brighter costumes, rich set designs, and eye-catching special effects that worked perfectly for the fantasy setting. Number 14, NASA loved the show. At the height of the space race, America couldn't get enough of astronauts. Major Nelson's career as an Air Force pilot turned astronaut wasn't just television fantasy. It tapped directly into what families were watching on the news every night. That connection made the show feel timely, even while it leaned on magic and comedy. Here's the part that surprises a lot of people. NASA actually loved it. It's a strange overlap. One of the most serious institutions in the world helping boost a sitcom about a genie. That contrast made Genie's world even more surreal. Number 15. The Genie blink effect was simple. Genie's magical blink always felt like a technical breakthrough. 1 second, she'd cross her arms, give a little nod and blink, and the next, something extraordinary would appear, disappear, or transform. For audiences in the 1960s, it looked like television wizardry, but the reality was far simpler. There was no complicated effect, no futuristic gadget. The crew would stop filming, swap out props or costumes, and then start again from the exact same spot. Editors cut the two shots together, making it look instant. Across these 15 bizarre facts, it's clear that I Dream of Genie wasn't just lighthearted fun. Beneath the pink smoke and playful magic were strict network rules, budget shortcuts, and plenty of real-life tension. What looked innocent on screen was held together by careful control and some very unusual choices. That mix of fantasy and reality is what makes the show's history so fascinating today. Television magic didn't come from elaborate tricks. It came from editing, costumes, and compromises. And sometimes the stories behind the show proved stranger and far more complicated than anything Genie ever